Well, you know, looking at your year, you can't really just look at the statistics and say we won this many, we lost this many, because you really had some high points as this year went on for this football team. There were some records and some goals that had to be met this year by your club.
Oh, absolutely. You know, our guys really did a lot in terms of setting records and hitting milestones throughout the course of the year. You know, that game against Hanover, first win of the season for us on the road. That was the largest deficit a Defiance College football team's overcome in the last 15 years. We ended up winning that game 38-1 to 28 in regulation over a very good Hanover squad that almost knocked off Franklin last weekend.
Yeah.
Along with that, set the school pick-6 record against Anderson. You remember that game. You know, we won that 48-7, 3 pick-6s, all in the same half, you know, by 3 different guys for us, 1 senior, a freshman, and a sophomore. School record for us there. So, you know, milestone in that regard. You know, along with that, setting the school record for offensive yards in a game against Earlham, 616, and doing it with our top 2 slot backs out of it. You know, really proud of our guys for that. I mean, shoot, the list goes on and on. Number 1 ranked defense in terms of rushing for the 2nd straight year. These last 2 years of total offensive output for us have been 2 of the best in the last 10 years for Defiance. There's plenty on paper in terms of wins, losses, and football achievements to be plenty proud of. And the great thing is that the future's so bright. You take a look at the 22 starters from this last Saturday's game. Well, 18 of them are set to return, and 16 of them are set to be juniors and seniors. So we're pretty excited about where this ship's heading.
You know what? That is probably the best news that any Yellow Jacket fan has heard for a long time, because it has been. Franklin's never been a problem who the next guy up is, okay? Right. On our side, there have been years where you looked at it and said, how do we replace that person? How do we replace that person? Mm-hmm. All of a sudden now you look at this team and you really have so much depth that you don't have that problem going into next year.
So proud of a lot of those guys, with all of those guys, frankly, but a lot of them were first-time starters this year in addition. A lot of our sophomore starters, first-time starting for this year. They took their freshman year experience and said, it doesn't have to be like this for the next 4 years. And they worked their tails off in the offseason. When their number was called, they answered the bell. And I think those guys are really a source of inspiration for maybe some of our freshmen we haven't mentioned, guys that maybe didn't play a whole lot this year or even at all, that, hey, I can really transform things. I can really make the leap, so to speak, over the next 9 months and be one more guy that we can rely on Saturday afternoons.
Yeah. You know, I can't let us wrap this up before we talk a little bit about that defense. You've alluded to it a little bit.
Yeah.
But, man, that excites me for next year, because I'm very happy with the way that front 5, front 7 are. I mean, you've got attackers there in the linebacker and line spots. You've got defensive backs coming back next year.
Yeah.
As good as the offense has been this year and as hopeful as we are for next year, how solid is that defense going to be next year?
It's been building and building over time, and the majority of our returning senior starters are on that defensive side of the ball. You know, talking about guys like Kyle Wilson, Cody Lee, talking about Andrew Feldhaus. Those guys have really done a tremendous job this year. Jamario Belton. You know, those guys are going to come back for their senior campaign. Really battle-tested, all of those guys, 2- and 3-year starters up to this point. To have them back in the mix and really solidifying things, that's a huge plus for us. You know, we're going to miss Josh Slayton. We're going to miss Eric Strickland as returning starters. We're going to miss guys like Todd and Bata and those guys that were role players for us. But those cats set such a great example for our freshmen, sophomores, and juniors that are waiting in the wings. You know, at the linebacker position, to have Keandre Gilmer and Matt DeVore back to help fill that void that Strickland's lost, along with some of our other freshmen. For, you know, LaRon Brewster and Jerome Davis to get some experience as freshman corners this year, maybe try to help fill the void that Josh Slayton's going to leave behind. So, to your point, Jim, the defense has been excellent, and I think we've got a chance to be even better in the upcoming season, as crazy as that sounds. I know our guys believe it, and they believe in what they can do in the offseason to make sure that happens, and that's a reality.
Fantastic. Plus, there's going to be new guys. I mean, you don't have a tie on today for nothing. You're out there showing that pretty face all around Northwest Ohio today.
Well, kind of you to say about my face. I'll be pounding the pavement, pretty face or not. There's such great talent in this tri-state area. We've really made a solid commitment to the 419, Northwest Ohio, making sure that the best players stay here and play here, and that's what we're going to continue to do. And there's plenty for us to quote-unquote sell and be part of and get people excited about. You know, we talk about all these things that are going on on the field, but off the field. We have 6 all-conference, academic all-conference players. Guys like Josh Slayton, 3.7 GPA overall. Cody Lee, 3.6 GPA overall. Cody Wiggins, another starter for us, 3.8 GPA overall. Cody Wilson, 3.7 GPA cumulative. Wow. Andrew Ford from Swanton, 3.84 GPA. Tom Wanker, our punter and tight end, 3.8 GPA. That's the highest number of academic all-conference guys we've had in the recent past. You know, we're getting it done in the classroom, and then we alluded to the brotherhood and how close-knit our group is. When high school seniors think about what type of program they want to play for, I would argue that 3 things come into play. Number 1, you want to play on a close-knit team where people work hard, they're invested, they have each other's back. Number 2, you want to play for coaches that are going to mentor you beyond just what you're doing on the field. You know, with 9 full-time coaches, for us, plenty of opportunities to connect with our guys outside the gridiron. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, the third thing for us is that we're going to be a program that's on the rise. You know, a lot of the grunt work's been done in terms of the tear down and rebuild that we've done over the last 3 years. You know, now it's time to build on this foundation that we've created for ourselves, and I think it's a really exciting time for guys to join our program and be part of this rise, back up to where we've been as a football program before.
Fantastic. Well, I'll tell you, I don't know what else to talk about or what else to say. I think that wraps it up right there. It's been a fun year. Next year, we're looking forward to it. You know, the good part about the way that time moves is that even though it seems like it's a long time from now before we'll kick that football off again, that first time, either the last week of August or the first part of September, it'll be here again before we know it. I know you and your coaches have a lot of work in between now and then, though.
We'll be pounding the pavement with recruiting, but of a priority for us is to continue to develop our guys as young men off the field. In the classroom, in terms of their leadership ability and their character development, we've got such a great group of guys that are a joy to be around, and I'm excited to see what's next for this football program in 2015.